Hey everybody, my name is Kaylee Holtzapfel. I'm back today with another dream for you guys that I had on October 6th of this year. And it's about 5G. So without further ado, here we go. The dream started off with a neighbor in the dream coming over to my house without my knowledge and stealing all of my shoes. She was a drug addict. I came home and I realized that all of my shoes were gone, and I was really upset about that. So I walked over to her house and her roommate was there. I befriended her and I told her that what had happened, and she let me into the house, telling me that I had to hurry because she was coming home soon. I walked into the house and it was disgusting and dilapidated and it smelled terrible. Her roommate was a drug addict too, and I saw track marks all along her legs. I found where she had stolen my shoes, but she had also stolen my pictures and my memories, things that my father and my grandfather had given me. I kept thinking, who steals pictures of someone else in them? Suddenly she came home and I hid. When I knew she was going to find me, I threw my shoes over the balcony so I could get them later. She eventually found me and realized what I was doing, so I started grabbing my things right in front of her without care. I ran out the doors and she came after me, pulling out a gun and shooting me in the right hip and along my back. She shot downward instead of head on, so I don't think that the bullets entered me, but rather grazed my skin. Nonetheless, it still hurt. Then the dream started playing like a movie. Up until this point, it was first person, but now it switches to third. I was watching the whole thing play out. Elon Musk was my love interest with what was supposed to be me, but it didn't look like me. He had something wrong with him, and he was walking on crutches, like people with cerebral palsy will use, and sometimes he used sign language. He originally was there to help me with my lawsuit against the girl who shot me, but we started falling for each other. We went on a couple of dates, went out for cheeseburgers, and I found out that he was an Olympian beam gymnast at one point, and he took me to this gym where he showed me his old moves. We went to this old American Idol store where there were a bunch of American Idol outfits for auditioning and memorabilia. I noticed that a couple of the previous contestants were workers for the store, and they looked absolutely miserable. It was almost as if they were slaves to the store. Then we were at a restaurant, and me and my friends in the dream, who was a singer, one of my friends in the dream who was a singer, was wearing a double-layered necklace and earrings that were extremely detailed and double-layered with diamonds. She said that the place that she was singing for had given them to her. I tried to reach up to touch them, but she got mad at me because she thought that the people who had given them to her would see, so she swatted my hand away. A bottle of scotch was placed on the table, and a girl that we were sitting with started tipping it back and chugging it. Elon had a golden bracelet on his wrist with a cluster of silver on it, so I took it from him and I put it on my right wrist. This is when things started getting really weird. We went for a walk and came across this old warehouse where the floor was made with hay. We were just walking through it and started to collapse like something was pushing down into the earth. The ceiling kept lowering closer and closer to us. Elon was trapped inside and was killed. I made it out. Then the dream switched to me and Eli, my husband. Something was happening where the wealthy were trying to kill everyone. People had guns and were killing them. All of the cars stopped moving all at once. Everything stopped moving all at once. Every person, every animal, every car, everything just stopped all at once. They still had their lights on and they were running. The cars were running, but for some reason they stopped moving. I looked into them and people were dead in them, but they were still running. It was as if everything had stopped and killed everyone and everything, but I didn't know why. The people were still alive and were getting killed by the wealthy people. Oh, the people who were still alive were getting killed by wealthy people. Some of them were wearing polos with sweaters tied over them, so I knew that they were wealthy. Some of the men were wearing tailored blue suits. These were men with guns, grenades, and army-prepped backpacks, and they were ready for what was about to happen. I became worried because I didn't have anything to protect myself with. Suddenly I looked down and I had 2 grenades in my hands. I gave one to Eli, and he threw it at the people who were coming towards us. Some rich people tried to run us over in a pink Mustang, but when they came close to us, the power in the car would stall and they couldn't reach us. They would back up and they would try again, but it would happen over and over. I took the ring out of the grenade and I threw it at them, and I took off running. I saw a huge horse just standing in this field with a saddle on it, so I went to go ride it, but it was dead. It was just standing. I saw a man on the other side of the horse, and I tried to creep around him so he couldn't see me. He did, and he started coming for me, so I ran back through the warehouse, which now had a very small opening. But when I came to it, instead of it being dark inside, it was illuminated, and they could see everything that was going on. I took off running in this field, not knowing where I was going, but knowing that I was probably going to die. Suddenly I saw a portal. It was huge, and it looked like it was reinforced with silver with an amberish orange color. I ran towards it, and the doors opened. I started going through it, and the structure of the portal turned into a long hall, and I knew I was going through it still. So I went through the portal, and then as I was running, I was in a tunnel, but I still knew that I was in the portal because the hallways and everything was still that, like, reinforced silver and that amberish orange color. Suddenly, I saw a picture. Suddenly, I could see a picture in front of me. Scenes from previously in the dream, like I was going back in time. I saw people being happy and doing normal things. I kept running towards it, and the clothing of the people changed as I reached the end. I knew wherever this was, people were happy, and I was going to be safe. Suddenly, the doors of the portal closed, and I was stuck in the portal. Then, just like movie credits, a song started playing. It sounded a lot like an Imogen Heap song, and in big orange letters across the portal I saw, 5G will set off a small device for tracking. The enemy comes back every 17 years. And then I drew a picture of kind of what the portal looked like. It looked something like that. So, what are the big symbols in this dream? Well, I broke it down because I had a lot. A neighbor are symbolic of people living near you, people close to you. Cursing your neighbor in a dream is symbolic of not having any sense, Proverbs 11:12. A house can mean a ministry, a person, a family, or a church. Shoes mean gospel of peace. Balcony means vision from within a ministry or situation. Guns mean spiritual authority, whether it's good or bad, or spiritual attack. Guns are also symbolic of the weapons that are used against each other. Curses, lies, mischief, slander, insults. Psalms 10:7. So in that first section of the dream, a neighbor of mine had stolen my shoes. Or attempted to steal my shoes because I ended up getting them back. And, somebody that kind of symbolizes that somebody close to me is trying to steal my gospel of peace. So I went into her house and I collected them and I threw them over the balcony. And the balcony, again, represents a vision from within a ministry or a clear understanding of something within a ministry. So right then and there is the symbol that lets me know that whatever the Lord is going to show me is from Him. And it's going to occur somehow in the future. Elon means tree or oak tree in Hebrew, and Musk means man, so I guess his name means tree man or oak tree man. Guns are symbolic of strengthening the spirit through prayer and reading the Bible. They also represent bodily exercise, 1 Timothy 4:8. Necklace is a symbol of something that is close to your heart, Deuteronomy 33:12. A necklace is also a symbol of a wise instruction and teaching from your parents, Proverbs 1:8. An earring is symbolic of wisdom and reproof, Proverbs 25:12. Diamonds are symbolic of something of great worth, Exodus 28:18. Bracelet means a pledge, testimony, or betrothal. Gold. We've talked about gold and silver before, but again, gold is symbolic of wisdom and a high-quality ministry, 1 Corinthians 3:12. Silver is symbolic of pure words and the truth of God, Psalms 12:6. Silver can also mean a high-quality ministry, 1 Corinthians 3:12. Your right hand means your faith in the natural. A warehouse is symbolic of things that are stored but only accessible by God or through God, Job 38:22 and 23. Straw means worthless or valueless work, Jeremiah 23:28. Suit, symbolic of being serious and highly conscientious about what you do. Grenades are an explosive issue. Backpack, symbolic of being a student or carrying around too many things with you. The color pink means love, emotion, passion, or hate or immaturity. Horse means work or war, Proverbs 21:3. So, Elon Musk was in this dream of mine, and, he was, kind of like trying to court me, trying to persuade me to like him throughout this dream. And then, like I previously read to you guys, we were led through this field, and we came across this warehouse and we went into this warehouse. The straw floor symbolizing valueless or worthless work. I don't think that that was in relation to me. I think that was in relation to Elon and what he does, because he was crushed by the building. His work collapsed on him, and it killed him. However, the warehouse also symbolizes things that are only accessible through God. So I don't think he's a religious man. But it was kind of confirmed to me yesterday that I need to reveal this dream. I find it strange that, well, I don't find it strange. I don't find it strange at all, but I saw words that said 5G will set off a small device for tracking. The enemy comes back every 17 years. I'm not so sure on what the last bit of that means, but the 5G that will set off a new device for tracking, that kind of made perfect sense to me. I'm sure most of you are aware that 5G technology is kind of already here, but not fully, it's not fully accessible in all parts of the United States. I think they're going to wait for early 2019 for that to be about, but it's in the beginning stages. And I don't know how many of you guys know exactly what the 5G technology is, so I have a list of some information about it. It's not for the faint of heart. It sounds like something out of an Orwellian movie, but, you know, truth is stranger than fiction, and I'll just read to you guys some of the things that are associated with 5G. So up until now, data has been created with human needs in mind. 5G, however, is designed for machines' need in mind. 4G has a 50 millimeter second delay, but 5G will have a 1 millisecond delay. Not enough of a difference for humans to notice, but enough to create a near seamless communication between machines. As of right now, 4G runs on microwaves, but 5G is moving to millimeter waves, or mmW. The frequency literally causes your blood not to retain oxygen the way that it should. And if that fact alone doesn't terrify you and want to deter you from upgrading your phones and moving along to this 5G world that we're about to be, you know, casted into, I don't know what else will, but I have more information about it. Studies that have associated low-level RFR exposure, it's the radio frequency exposure, with a litany of health effects, including DNA single and double strand breaks, which leads to cancer, oxidative damage, which leads to tissue deterioration and premature aging, disruption of cell metabolism, increased blood-brain barrier permeability, melatonin reduction, leading to insomnia and increasing cancer risks, disruption of brain glucose metabolism, and a generation of stress proteins, leading to a myriad of diseases. 5G mmW technology, millimeter waves, utilizes the same dose of radiation as airport scanners, but the long-term health effects have not yet been studied. Dr. Yael Stein of Jerusalem's Hebrew University states that over 90% of microwave radiation is absorbed by the epidermis and the dermis layers. So human skin basically acts as an absorbing sponge for microwave radiation. Disquieting as this may sound, it's generally considered acceptable so long as the violating wavelengths are greater than the skin layer's dimensions. The mmWs violate this condition. Furthermore, sweat ducts in the skin's upper layer act like helical antennas, which are specialized antennas constructed specifically to respond to electromagnetic fields. With millions of sweat ducts and 5G's increased RFR needs, it stands to reason that our bodies will become far more conductive to this radiation. He also goes on to state that mmWs may cause pain receptors to flare up in recognition of the waves as damaging stimuli. Consider that the U.S. Department of Defense also uses a crowd dispersal method called the active denial system, in which mmWs are directed at crowds to make their skin feel like it's burning, and also has the ability to basically microwave populations to death from afar with this technology, if they choose to do so. And the telecommunication companies want to put this in your smartphone. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. The active denial system is weaponized machinery, and it works at the same frequency at which 5G is going to work at. So, this is terrifying. I've known about 5G for a while, but, you know, every day that you're alive, you see more and more stuff come out with it and how they're pushing it, you know, with each and every day. And soon, you're going to have to upgrade your phones, you're going to have to upgrade your technology to adapt to 5G. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of the Internet of Things, but 5G is going to be a precursor to the Internet of Things, Internet of Things being that everything we interact with will be smart technology or AI technology, from crosswalks to light posts to your refrigerator to your stove to your phones to everything you use. And with that, we also will become the Internet of Things. Elon Musk also talks about singularity. Elon Musk is a very interesting character, and I don't trust him because he contradicts himself in a lot of things that he talks about. You know, at one time he talks about, I tried to warn everybody about AI. AI is so terrible. It's like opening a gateway to hell. It's like opening up demons. It's a genie in a bottle that once it's released, we can't get it back in. And that he tried to warn everybody about these things and that we need to slow down on AI, which I agree with. But then he also goes to contradict himself and says, if you can't beat them, join them. Let's go ahead and do something called Singularity with Neuralink, which for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is working hand in hand with DARPA to work on Singularity and Neuralink, which is transhumanism. It's putting a chip implant into your brain to make you super aware, super conscious, give you the cognitive abilities that your smartphone would have or the fastest computer would have, but inside your brain. It's transhumanism. It's going to alter your DNA somehow, and I believe that it's going to be a precursor for the Mark of the Beast, if not go hand in hand with the Mark of the Beast. In my last video, we talked about, you know, our biological clock and how the chromocode, or chronocode was going to, you know, bring about the Mark of the Beast as well. But it all works together. Singularity, Neuralink, adapting, and being simultaneous with machines, human becoming the machine. It's really scary stuff. So I'm not really sure on what the Lord meant by the enemy comes back every 17 years. But he did let me know that 5G is also going to set off a tracking device. We can look at places like China that have a social code or a social score where they're enforcing. You can look at predictive programming about how Black Mirror told us that this thing would happen 2-3 years before it happened, but now in China you have a social score where if your social score falls below a certain number, you can't buy airplane tickets, you can't travel, you can't you know, do any of these things. They also have cameras on every light post with every person in a database. So, you know, they keep track on all of their citizens at all times. They know where everybody is at all times. And that technology is coming to us. One thing about 5G technology is although it's faster, it doesn't work in as long range as 4G does. So they're going to have to put up, and they are putting up, towers on most streets, in most residential areas, and in closer proximity to one another. So we're already seeing this stuff come to the United States, but I think they're testing it in other areas. You know, China has a fingerprint database where you can't buy or sell unless you know, are in their system and you use your fingerprints, and it's just predictive programming. It's just precursors to what's coming to the United States, and somehow, some way, this 5G technology is going to be able to track everybody. And the fact that in my dream, everyone was frozen simultaneously, that everybody died simultaneously, it makes you think, if this active denial system can kill large crowds with heat all at once, then what else can 5G do? If 5G knows where everybody is at all times, we're going to be in the ether, we're going to be singular, we're going to be connected. What about the technology is going to do this? So, it's interesting stuff. And I am thankful that the Lord gave it to me so that I can give it to you guys so you can do your own research about it and start to ask questions. And hopefully you can do some research before you're forced to adapt to a 5G world. So I love each and every one of you, and I'll be back when He sends me back again. And I love you in Jesus' name, and I hope you have a great day.